Fear. Why fear has no place in the kingdom. Fear versus free will. Fear shows up constantly in Scripture, but almost never as something to be cultivated. Nearly every time God, an angel, or Jesus speaks directly to someone in the Bible, the first words are some version of "fear not." That pattern isn't incidental. Fear and genuine faith cannot fully occupy the same space at the same time. Jesus said this plainly to his disciples in the middle of a storm, when they were certain their boat was going to sink, taking this from Matthew chapter 8, verse 26. "Why are ye fearful, O ye of little faith?" He didn't treat their fear as a reasonable response to real danger. He treated it as evidence that their faith hadn't yet taken hold. Fear and faith in that moment were presented as opposites, competing for the same ground in their hearts. John wrote about why fear and love can't coexist in the 1 John chapter 4 verse 18. "There is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out fear, because fear hath torment. He that feareth is not made perfect in love." Fear brings torment, a controlling, contracting force. Love does the opposite. It opens, releases, extends outward. The two move in entirely different directions inside a person, which is exactly why one has to displace the other. They don't blend. This matters for free will specifically because fear, by its nature, narrows choice down to self-protection. A person acting from fear isn't freely choosing love, generosity, or trust. They're being driven toward whatever feels safest. Paul makes this distinction directly in 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. "For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, and of love, and of a sound mind." In this verse, the word fear actually means fear. God hath not given the spirit of fear in the meaning from the Greek concordance that states fear in this case means timid or faithless, fearful. Fear is the manifestation of the flesh. Notice what fear is contrasted with in the Timothy verse. Not just love, but a sound mind, one capable of clear, free choice rather than a mind narrowed down to a single survival response. This is why fear functions so differently. An example from Proverbs chapter 9 verse 10, "The fear of the Lord." That phrase describes awe and honor, reverence, not the anxious, self-protective fear that shrinks a person's choices down to almost nothing. One draws a person toward wisdom and freedom. The other locks a person into a single narrow reaction, over and over, regardless of what love or faith might have chosen instead. Jesus modeled the alternative completely, facing arrest, torture, and death. Every reasonable justification for fear all at once. He still chose love, still chose obedience to the Father, still chose forgiveness for the very people killing him. Fear was fully available to him in that moment. He simply didn't let it choose for him. "Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid," stated in John chapter 14 verse 27, wasn't advice from someone who never faced real danger. It came from someone who faced the worst of it and still refused to let fear make his decisions for him. This narrowing is exactly where fear becomes a problem for free will. The very first recorded human response to sin was fear. It immediately shrank a choice down to hiding. "I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself," as stated in Genesis chapter 3, verse 10. Adam's response is the same pattern already named. Fear narrowing a free choice down to hiding. That's not freedom. It's a kind of captivity, even when no one else is holding the chains. Fear, by its nature, narrows choice down to self-protection. A person acting from fear isn't freely choosing love, generosity, or trust. They're being driven toward whatever feels safest in the moment. Paul describes the alternative directly in 2 Corinthians chapter 3 verse 17. Now, the Lord is that Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Liberty, not fear, is the natural condition of a life lived close to the Spirit. MJI LightWorker, stairway to heaven.org